It's time for our lesson 2 math lesson today. So I'm hoping you've been able to get outside. I'm hoping you've been able to do some of those activities Mrs. Griffith sent. If you do any of them, have your parents take a video and email it to me. I'd love to see what you guys are up to. And let me know what's going on with you guys. I miss seeing you, hearing all your stories and seeing what's going on. I know this is such a hard time not being able to see each other, but we got to do what's best for everybody right now. So let's talk about math. Yesterday we talked about telling time to the hour, and we only had the hour to talk about. Well, today we're going to tell time to the half hour, and I was able to pull up our videos to go along with our lessons. So
to the half hour.
There you go.
This clock shows time to the half hour. The minute hand points to 6. The hour hand is between 4 and 5. It is 4:30 or 4:30. Let's try another one. This clock also shows time to the half hour. The minute hand points to 6. The hour hand is between 9 and 10. It is 9:30 or 9:30.
All right, so there's one. Got another one for you here, so hang tight.
Telling time to the hour and half hour. Do you know what time it is? Is there a clock nearby? What kind of clock is it? There are two kinds of clocks. This is an analog clock.
This is a digital clock.
Look at the analog clock. The small red hand shows us the hour, and the long blue hand shows us the minutes. 1 hour is 60 minutes long. It is 5 o'clock. On a digital clock, the first digit in red tells us the hour, and the second digits in blue tell us the minutes. It is 5 o'clock. 1 half hour is 3 minutes long. Then start at 12. We can count to 30 by 5s using each number. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. We ended at number 6. On the digital clock, it is 5:30. We could also say it is 5:30 or 30 minutes after 5.
Alrighty, so that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about telling time to the half hour. Okay, so let's start our lesson with our blue folder, and you're going to need a pencil as well. So if you need to, pause and go get that. Okay, I'm going to grab my marker here. So if we look at our blue folder, here's your blue folder page for today. It says use the clock. Tell what time is shown. Write the time. So this is very similar to what we did yesterday with telling time on the hour. We're just telling time to the half hour. So remember, the red hand, the shorter hand is the hour hand, and the blue hand, the longer hand, is the minute hand. So let's look at number 4. So if you notice in number 4, the red hand is pointing halfway between 10 and 11, and the blue hand is pointing directly to the 6. If it's halfway between 10 and 11, it's past 10, but it isn't 11 o'clock yet. So it makes it 10:30. So on the digital clock, we write 10 before the 2 dots, and then we write 30 after. And I bet you've seen things that look like that in a digital clock. And if we have it as 10:30, we need to know that it is half past 10. Okay? Well, let's skip down and look at numbers 7, 8, and 9. Number 7, 8, and 9 is draw the hands on each clock and write the time. So they gave us the time in words, and we need to draw the hands on the analog clock like yesterday, and then put the time in the digital clock. Okay? You with me so far? Big thing to remember here. Once again, make sure your hands are definitely two different lengths. We need one to be shorter, that's your hour hand, and one to be longer, that's your minute hand. And I always say put the minute hand in first when we're doing the half hour especially, because it's always going to point to the 6 when it's the half hour. Okay, so today your minute hand should almost always point to the 6. So let's look at number 7. It says 4:30. So draw that longer hand, the minute hand, to point directly at the 6. I'm going to do that in mine right now. And if you're not good with arrows, don't worry too much about that. Okay, now if it's 4:30, my hour hand has to go halfway between the 4 and the 5. Okay. And I have to make my hour hand shorter than my minute hand. Do you see how I did that? And if it's 4:30, then it is 4:30. So then you write the time in the digital. Alrighty, well, let's turn the page over. And if you wanted to finish the front and then come back and go to the next spot, you're always welcome to pause and finish one section before you go on to the next, okay? So on the back, we have a couple of different kinds of problems here. So number 10, do you see that one in your book? It says Eli woke up at 7:30. So remember that would be 7:30. He needs to leave for school 1 hour later. So 60 minutes is 1 hour. We need to add an hour to that. Alrighty, so what we do here, it says to show and write the time that he needs to leave for school. So 7:30, if we add an hour, then it becomes 8:30. So once again, your minute hand points directly at the 6. And if it's 8:30, it has to go halfway between the 8 and the 9. And then we would write 8:30. Okay, do you see how that's going to look there? All right, well, let's go ahead and look at the one right below. It's not even really numbered. It would be numbers 11, 12, and 13. There's 3 clocks. We have a red clock, a orange clock, and a purple clock. The red clock is when school starts. The orange clock is when soccer practice starts. And the purple clock is when the alarm goes off. And what you have to do is figure out what happens at these times. So I'm going to ask you, I can't hear you, but I want you to think for a minute. Which clock shows 6:30? Is it the red clock? Is it the orange clock? Or is it the purple clock? So remember, you're looking for that red hand, that shorter hand, to be halfway between the 6 and the 7 to find 6:30. Did you figure it out? I hope you said the alarm goes off. So then what you do is you write on the line by number 11, alarm goes off. Okay, so you see I wrote that there, alarm goes off. Now I'm going to let you figure out 12 and 13 at home. And then let's look at the right math, because sometimes these are tricky. How is reading a digital clock different from reading an analog clock? Well, they both have numbers. They both tell time. But on a digital clock, do you have to look for the hands to tell what the time is? You don't. So if you really think about that and take a moment, you'll be able to figure that one out pretty easily. Okay? All right. So if you're going to finish Blue Folder, go ahead and pause it all right now, because I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about our homework. Our homework is just like the Blue Folder. Okay? So let's look at the homework paper. Remember, this is in your binder in the math section. Tell what time is shown, write the time. So in number 1, in that yellow clock, we look at the red hour hand. It's halfway between 9 and 10, okay? And the blue minute hand is right at the 6, which means it's 30 minutes. And if it's halfway between 9 and 10, it can't be 9 o'clock, but it can't be 10 o'clock, so it's got to be 9:30. So it's technically still in the 9s, but it's halfway until 10, which makes it 9:30. Okay. So you can go ahead and do 2 and 3. And I'm going to talk about the back here. So if you want, pause the video and we'll come back to it. Okay. 4 and 5 on the back, you're drawing the hands on. We've talked about that. We've done some of that. I think you can probably do it. Okay, but look at number 6. Tatum is going to the city with her family. They will leave 1 hour after she gets home from school. Tatum gets home from school at 3:30. What will the clocks look like when they leave? So we have to take that 3:30 time and think, what is 1 hour later than 3:30? Well, what's one number more than 3? That would be 4:30. Okay, so we write, I always like to write the digital time in first because I have it right there in front of me. Okay, and then 4:30, my minute hand points directly at the 6, and my hour hand's going to go halfway between the 4 and the 5. And there we go. All righty. So that's telling time to the half hour. Tomorrow we're going to do a little bit of problem solving. Okay. You guys are doing a great job. I know this is hard. I know this is different and weird, but you're doing a really, really good job. And I'm really proud of you all for working so hard. Moms and dads, you're doing a great job too. This is not easy to be cooped up in your house with your kids and do school and take care of stuff at home. And some of you are working at home. I know I am as well. So everybody hang in there. God's got it all under control and we're going to make it through. Don't forget to do your fact fluency and MobyMax, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.